Welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I am Beth Cooper.
I am Stacey Earlywine, and we are here once again.
We are,
doing the show that we love so much.
We do. I love doing the show.
Do you have how many episodes have we even done?
I
don't even know.
I lost count. It's over 100.
Yeah,
I think I don't remember.
We didn't do
what?
We didn't have your mom make us a cake for the 100th anniversary.
I know we kind of stopped celebrating the decades. But
yeah, I know. It's what we can't do decades. Decades now aren't fun.
No, they're not. So
how would you, like, real talk?
So
like the 19, you got your different decades and all this stuff. I mean, what are people going to say about the 21st century? Like,
to me, it all seems like
it's all the same.
Like, I don't see a lot of differences between the decades.
I really don't see it. Once you get rid of
once
the 90s were over, I feel like there's almost everything, fashion and everything in 2024 is not hardly any different than the 2000. Hair, everything. I don't know. I just don't feel like it's going to be.
Yeah, there's
the
not
people
as
in the future aren't going to have as
changes.
much. But like you look back at the 20s,
they had a look.
The 30s,
the
30s
40s had a look. The 40s had a look. The 50s had a look. The 60s had a look.
Yeah.
I just
70s,
maybe
80s, 90s.
Maybe it's because we're older. Maybe the younger people are like, oh my gosh, these ladies, like, no, it's nothing like it was in 2000.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like the decades are going to be. People are just going to have to keep coming back to the best decades ever, which is the 80s.
Yeah.
Or the 50s. 50s and the 80s.
50s was great too.
I love the 50s. So we had.
I kind of wish the 20s would come back, like
the
like
Roaring,
the men in suits.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, the 20s did have some serious awesome clothes. Yeah.
They sure did. Sure did.
So we are in April.
Yes.
Still.
Yes.
April, things seem like they're heating up pretty good.
I think it's going to be a hot summer.
I think it's going to be a hot summer. Do you remember a few years ago? It's probably been several, but like in April, it was hot. Like we had opened up, and you were actually getting in the pool because the pool water was already hot at the end of April, 1st of May.
I think it'll be like that this year.
I think it's going to be too.
We got a few more weeks, but I think your pool will be in good shape.
I think it's going to be, yeah, because I won't let Jim do. It's heated, but I can't turn it on because it made our
electric bill go up
so much. So, and it's not really necessary anyway, because then it gets hot.
Right. You don't want it to be like bath water, really.
No.
Yeah.
So a lot. Anything else interesting going on? You've got lots going on in your plate
well, we're in wedding mode. So my oldest daughter, Malia, is getting married in a few weeks at the end of May. So we've got
doesn't
like,
even seem possible.
What, five weeks left or something before the wedding. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So is there a lot? What happens now? I mean, my son Mac is married, but I'm the groom's mother, so how does this, what happens now?
I feel like most things are kind of taken care of, but we're just kind of wrapping up loose ends, and I don't know. I mean, every day it's like, oh, we should think about this, and there's still a few things I need to order, and a dress I need to buy for my other daughter, because we're having trouble finding one that she likes. So that is the next order of business.
Is she picky?
Yes.
Chris is very picky?
Yes. She doesn't like that one. She doesn't like that, and they're all different reasons why she doesn't like them. So.
And I bet none of them are legit, are they?
No, they're not. They're not legit reasons.
They're not legit reasons.
Well, that one kind of has a wrinkle across the middle. It's like, oh, that's a seam, and it's supposed to be there. Well, I don't like the way that looks. Like,
oh gosh, I remember. I'm not picky about hardly anything, but I had to cut my cousin Buffy. We would always go school clothes shopping, and Buffy, everything was itchy. It itches, everything. Everything
I was like
would
that
itch
when I was
on
a
her.
kid.
Yeah.
I didn't like denim. I didn't like to wear denim when I was a kid, because the denim in the early 80s was the consistency of cardboard.
Yeah.
It was very thick, very scratchy. It's not the same denim. Heavy.
It was heavy.
Yeah.
You go buy a pair of jeans now, and they're
nothing
soft
like that.
and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
They got some stretch to them. It's almost like a completely different fabric.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
So, anyway, you have a fun ad?
I do have
today?
an ad today, and it's very interesting.
Okay. Show me what you got.
Okay. I'm going to read it from here. Look at this. It's here. New action-proof protection. Folks on the go use Odor Rono. No matter how active you are, I love the way they're square dancing. No matter how active you are, Odor Rono guarantees full protection against embarrassing perspiration, moisture, and odor.
They've all got their arms up.
I know, ain't it great?
Yeah.
The fiddle player in the back.
Yeah.
Many deodorants are not effective enough to give this complete protection, but new Odor Rono Not only checks perspiration, stops odor instantly. It's formulated to supply extra protection whenever you need it. Guaranteed action-proof protection. So gentle, too. No other deodorant is safer for skin and fabrics. New action-proof Odorono Cream Deodorant. Guaranteed... Odorono guarantees full 24-hour protection or double your money back.
They're confident.
Right. Just return unused portion to Northam Warren, New York.
Can you imagine being the person in the mail department at that company that has to open all of the partially used deodorant bottles?
Uh-huh.
Gross.
Well, it's kind of weird. Can you zoom in real quick? Because I've got to show you how this goes on. Because it's really weird. It's not like it sprays perfectly. So it's a weird little spray. If you can zoom in. Let me see if I can get this up here. Look at this. Zoom in on this real quick. Okay. So
it's a spray cream?
Okay. So look at this. Look, see, it says sprays perfectly.
Oh.
Stays creamy always. But what's that weird spray bottle? You know it's plastic.
It's almost like a butter bottle.
It's weird, right?
Sprays perfectly.
Yeah. But the little poof. But then it's got the stays creamy always. I don't know. I just thought that was weird.
That is weird.
That little thing down there. That's not what that reminds me of.
Uh-huh.
Odorono.
Uh-huh.
I wonder how long Odorono was in business.
I do not know, but...
1952.
I wonder what their ingredients were in that deodorant. That makes me curious.
Well, what kills us
right now? Yeah, it's all of the things that cause cancer. That's the reason all that generation had cancer.
Yeah.
Odorono. We're blaming it on you.
Odorono, no. All right. Well, today we're going to talk. This story is a very interesting story.
It's interesting,
but
and
it's kind of
tragic.
Sad. It's tragic.
It's very tragic.
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk about the hospital fire in Effingham on April the 4th, 1949. We just celebrated, celebrate's not really the word, we just commemorated it by 75th, its 75th anniversary. They had a ceremony at St. Anthony's the other day on the lawn and dedicated a new statue that they put up in honor of the ones that lost their lives. And I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the show. But basically, for those that don't know, the St. Anthony Hospital in Effingham, Illinois, burnt down on April the 4th, 1949. And it was a very tragic scene. I mean, growing up in Florida, I had heard that St. Anthony's had burnt in the past. I knew there was a story there, but I didn't really realize that this many people had died. So over 70 people died. One list I have has 75 people on it. Another article I read listed it as 74. I could have swore in my research I also saw the number 77. I know that there were a lot of people that were immediately killed, and then there were people that died 2 to 3 days later in the other hospitals that they shipped them to. So I think that's the variation in the number, maybe. I'm not an expert on this subject. I'm sure you could travel to Effingham and go to the Effingham Library and probably find everything that you need to know about it. But I will tell you kind of a little bit what I discovered in my research is there's definitely an interesting story because so many people, it kind of echoes 9/11 in the way that people ran into the building to save those that were endangered and put their own lives at risk to pull out the people that were in the hospital. So I think I have a picture, Ty, of the Effingham Hospital before it burnt. Did I share one?
Is it
that one. Let's share that one.
Same location?
It's at the same location, but you can, if you're familiar with Effingham Hospital now, you can tell that this is not the same building. The other one was burnt completely hollowed out.
Really?
This one was completely hollowed out by the time the fire was done, and all that was left were the bricks, and then those had to be torn down. So, this is what it looked like before. It was, this happened right after the end of the war. This was right in the middle of the baby boom when this happened, and you know that this is a hospital where women go to deliver their babies. So there were women in labor at the time of the fire. There were babies in the nursery. There were young mothers who had just delivered who were resting in their rooms while their babies were in the nursery. There was just so many sad cases. There was one girl who had hurt herself. She was scheduled to be released from the hospital, but her crutches that they had ordered for her did not fit. So instead, they said, "Stay one more night, and we're going to get you the correct crutches." And then she was killed in the fire. I think she was 12 years old. Her name was Doris.
Oh my!
So I mean, it's an incredible tragedy. What time do we have? Do I need to jump into it, or do we have a little commercial break? Okay,
go ahead. We got some time. You can jump into it.
Okay. So I have this great book here on the subject that details it all. It was written by Donna Riley Gordon and the Effingham Daily News, so I want to give them credit. I'm pulling my information from their source. But I'm just going to pull like a few different stories of some of the people that were there. This one goes, Winton Seidner kissed his young wife, Anita, who was pregnant with their second child, and left the hospital so she could get some rest. And she had been given medication to facilitate her need for sleep as she awaited the birth of her child in an annex off of the delivery room. Okay, so that's one story. Now, this Anita Seidner I believe she was at the ceremony. She's the last living survivor of this tragedy. And there was a picture in the Effingham Daily News of her, and I'll try to get that pulled up and share it. But I think it said she was 97 years old. And so that was the beginning of Anita's story. She ended up, I believe, jumping from a window to survive.
Oh, my.
Yeah,
how many stories was that building?
So the building was 3 stories, and the top story was a nursing home, basically. So they didn't, back then in the 40s and before that, they didn't really have nursing homes. Like you either cared for someone that needed a nursing home situation in your home, or they could be admitted like long-term to the hospital. So this top floor had basically nursing home patients in it. There were a blind man. There were different people that were handicapped and bedridden, couldn't get out of their bed. I believe I would have to find the number here. I should have highlighted it, but since it wasn't my book, I hated to highlight in it. But there was like around 30 or 35 people on that 3rd floor in the nursing home section, and none of them survived. They all passed away.
So the entire nursing home section passed away?
Yes. There was a man up there who was caring for them, and whenever he started to smell smoke, he went down. He took the elevator down to try to help fight the fire, not ever thinking that it would come through the building that fast, because this fire is started, and then it all happened very, very quickly. And so...
now it's time to take a commercial break. So we'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about how the fire started.
Sure.
Is that all in there too?
Yes. Yeah.
How it started?
Yep.
Okay. We'll be right back.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we're talking about the tragedy that happened in Effingham, Illinois on April the 4th of 1949 when St. Anthony's Hospital burnt and so many lives were lost. So this fire, there was one employee that thought, actually I think she was one of the sisters. There was nuns there that were running the hospital.
Okay.
And she thought she had smelled something all day, but no one else could smell it. Okay, well, by 11 p.m., like, suddenly everybody was smelling the smoke. This all happened in the middle of the night.
So it was at nighttime. It happened
was at
night.
nighttime. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know the exact time that everybody started smelling it, but later they think that it was in the laundry chute. The fire was in the laundry chute. The fire started in the basement. Okay. And the laundry chute goes all the way up to the third floor. And because the way the buildings were made back then, there were no fire doors, there were no sprinkler systems. The ceilings of all of the rooms and the wall partitions in the rooms were all made from a highly combustible material. So, I mean, one thing that we do need to be thankful for today that we all take for granted is like fire safety in the buildings that we are in. Like, our hospitals aren't made like this anymore. Basically, it was the perfect storm situation where these laundry chutes and the doors acted as drafting, and it just fed this fire. So that once the fire started, it just took off, and it just like went right through the halls, just traveling huge flames.
Really?
And from what I have read, it just, I mean, you hear the term, it spread like wildfire, and it just, in an instant, it had traveled through so much of the building.
What did something ignite? How did it even get ignited
Well, they don't know if there was maybe a cigarette that got wrapped up in somebody's laundry, or the other theory is that earlier in the day they had been putting fresh paint and fresh varnish on different coats on different parts of the building, and that sometimes that varnish, if it could be combustible, it's like spontaneously combust. Like if it was down there in the laundry room. That's a theory. I don't know. And and you know, I'm not sure when this book was printed. I didn't see a date of print on this book, so it may have been that this is an older book, and maybe now they've done more investigating and they know. I'm not sure. And I didn't know about that ceremony at the hospital the other day until it was already over, or I would have tried to attend, knowing that I was going to do this. I knew then that I was going to do this. So, okay, so I want to talk a minute about a man named Frank Rise. He was the main caretaker of the hospital, and he and his family lived next door to the hospital. And it says he stopped by the hospital switchboard just before 11 p.m. to chat for a few minutes with Sister Anastasia Grosh before going home to rest for the night. So he went home about 11. And the Rice family lived on the first floor of the house next door to the hospital. The nurse's home was on the top floor of the house, which was owned by the hospital. When Rice arrived home, he fixed himself a cup of coffee and sat down at the kitchen table to read the paper. His daughter was there. Her name's Mary Lean. She had a friend spending the night. They went to bed, and but at the hospital, around 11:30 p.m., things were starting to happen over there. So the odor that the young nun had noticed throughout the evening intensified, and others began smelling it. By now, the odor was pronounced enough to be identified as something burning. Downstairs, the smell had become discernible as well. Another nun by the name of Sister Edmunda left the third floor by the elevator to the first floor, and when the elevator door opened, she could smell smoke. So she decided to call Frank Rice, who was the caretaker living next door, okay? And they relied on him heavily. And shortly afterward, the nun heard a scream, and the smell of smoke was now noticeable in the switchboard area. According to the notes by the nun, she turned back to the switchboard and called the city operator to tell them there was a fire, and that call was recorded at 11:48 p.m., so it's almost midnight. So then they called the convent that adjoined the hospital to notify the other Sisters of the Third Order of St. Francis. That's the sisterhood that ran the hospital, to tell them what was going on. Then that's when they discovered the smoke was coming from the laundry chute. Riley, she was one of the nurses I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but she ran around telling everyone fire, fire, and then she dashed back up to the nursery. So she was in charge of the nursery on the second floor, and she had 11 babies under her care. Her name was Fern Riley. She, in my mind, is a hero, and I would have loved to have found a photo of her to show you, but I did not. But I'll talk a little bit more about her in a minute. But okay, so after that, Frank, he woke up his son Walter, who was 22, and asked him to come with him because he might need help. And Frank left the house. Walter was a few steps behind him. Frank rushed into the building and grabbed a fire extinguisher and went in search of flames. Okay, so Marie Rice, that was his wife. She told her daughter later that she heard a commotion in her husband's voice because Marie is the night nurse at the hospital. So Marie was working there. Her husband was a caretaker. He comes running in with the fire extinguisher. Marie hears her husband's voice in a commotion and looks out. And she even told one of the nuns in the hallway, like, I just heard Frank's voice. Is everything okay? And the nun told her that they had smelled smoke and that Frank was going to take care of it.
Oh, my.
Okay. With a fire extinguisher. Marie went back to her patient. I think she was a private nurse at that time. You could hire a private nurse, and that would be your only nurse. That's the only person she was taking care of. Later, she saw flames and people going out the windows in a portion of the building that she could view from the window in her patient's room. Immediately, Marie got her patient, who was named Mrs. Kinkler, to the window, and the women waited for help. And they prayed in German. So they were German immigrants, and so they sat there together and said a prayer in German. Marie said all of a sudden there was intense heat, and she didn't remember anything after that. So that's just how quick, like they didn't even see it coming. It was just like, boom, intense heat. This is on fire. So Sister Anastasia, who was downstairs by the switchboard, when she thought she could smell smoke there, all of a sudden she was just met by fire and smoke. So nurses on the first floor began evacuating patients.
At this point, I'm assuming they're like, there's no stopping this.
Well, they're still not sure what's going on, but they're decided to get
them out.
So Pitchford said she opened the door of the laundry chute, saw smoke, and closed the door. She immediately told Rise what she had seen, and then he opened the chute and saw flames shooting up. So he attempted to put out the fire in the chute with a nearby extinguisher, but upon seeing that his efforts were not successful, he dropped the extinguisher and ran down the hall to the basement. Walter Rise, this is his 22-year-old son, was trying to catch up to his father, and he saw him enter the front door of the hospital, and he saw him reach the end of the hall, and he tried to follow him, but when he was at the end of a connecting hall where there was a stairway going up and down, by the time Walter reached the end of that hallway, the stairway was gone. So Frank had went down the stairs. Walter's running to catch up to him, gets to the stairs are gone, and his dad had just went down them.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. Pitchford, she's the one that is at the switchboard. She dashed into a patient's room to try to evacuate the building. She did assist one man who had just been admitted out, but the fire was already just a mass of flames, everywhere. Ty, can you show us a picture of what the building looked like fully engulfed, please?
Oh,
yeah. Okay,
my
just leave that up
gosh.
there for a few minutes while I talk about what happens next. So this is it fully inflamed there.
It's just glowing.
So on the third floor, Sister Eustacia was the nun up there. She continued to smell smoke and called for her orderly. His name was Bearderhorn. I hope I'm doing these names justice. He was asleep, but he was the orderly there. And he opened the chute. Black smoke poured out, but no fire was visible. There was no flame, he said. So he knew the fire was not on the third floor. So he, planning to investigate, he took the elevator to the basement. The basement was filled with smoke, so Beaterhorn decided to go back upstairs to help the patients down the fire chute. But when he pressed the elevator button to return to the upper floor, the elevator was inoperable. Beaterhorn went to the closest stairway, but found himself facing a violent fire. Hurriedly, he went to another stairwell, but found it too was impassable due to ferocious flames. He went outside through a window and intent on entering the building, made his way through a mass of flames on the first floor and began helping patients escape. So he just went right into the flames and did what he had to do. He ended up being badly burned. The fire escape on the north side of the building was the only one the patients could use. He told a reporter later, "We had 2 silo-type escapes like funnels, but nobody could get through to them. By that time, the corridors were on fire and the flames were shooting out the walls." So the staircases in this building were completely wooden, and a lot of things had been freshly varnished.
Oh,
too.
that just
so.
That's probably why. Oh gosh, I can't even imagine. That would have to be hot.
It said the wisp of smoke that was in the closed chute shot an inferno that quickly ate itself through hospital corridors. Panic took over. St. Anthony Hospital was ablaze, its patients and staff in peril. In no time, thick smoke rolled out hospital windows. The fire alarm sounded, and all of the firemen headed that way. At least one fire truck was stuck by a train that was on the tracks, because it is Effingham. It's full of tracks. And they had to wait. The firemen got there and they ran their ladders up to the second-story windows, but they soon discovered that their ladders were not tall enough to reach to the third floor.
Oh.
Let's see. Let me kind of skip ahead. The glow of the fire could be seen in the sky. There were men that had just left the theater, had gotten out downtown, the Hart Theater. They'd just left there. They saw the glow. People started heading that way to try to help. So let me try to find the next.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. Yeah, we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back and let you find that next story.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank.
We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online banking, just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be.
Clay County State Bank.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County, Farmers Mutual Insurance.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we're talking about a very tragic story, the Effingham Hospital fire in 1949. So I mentioned Fern Riley, who was the nurse that was in charge of the nursery. and there were 11 babies in the nursery. At the time, she had run downstairs to holler, "Fire, fire." She knew there was a fire in the building. She went back up the stairs to take care of her babies. And I think that, she just thought, I'll stay with them, make sure they get to safety. It said Riley was seen during the height of the fire by a nun in the second-story nursery looking down at the fire-lit lawn. The sister saw her look back into the room. To throw the babies in her care to the ground below would be to dash them to their death, said the nun. A fire escape was located outside the window. There was little doubt that she could have escaped what would be certain death if she stayed. Safety was but a step away. Another nurse who escaped heard her cry of decision, my babies, I've got to stay with my babies." Riley left the window and threw herself as a shield between the flames and the bassinets that she had pushed together. Hundreds of proud fathers must have peered through the plate glass window at the end of the south corridor at their wrinkly newborn. A man named Paul Lyons later wrote in his article, Tragedy at St. Anthony's Hospital, the same window must have held terror to Fern Riley, as she must have seen smoke and flames racing toward her through the 120-foot long open corridor and spreading down the open stairway from the third floor just outside. The nursery was one of the first areas of the hospital to be completely consumed. So Fern Riley was discovered later when they went and started removing the bodies from the rubble. She was hovered over the 11 bassinets that she had pushed together as closely as she could, and she had thrown herself on top of them. Mm-hmm. And
how old was she? Does it say how old she
was? 19 or 21.
She was a young girl.
Very young. Mm-hmm. Very young.
And stayed back to go with them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let me see. It did say at the beginning how old she was when it first introduced her.
Fern Riley.
Fern Riley. But I did a search to try to find a picture of her, and I couldn't. But let's. There's a picture I just sent to Ty of the unveiling of the new statue at St. Anthony's, and it is of a nurse holding a baby. And this is dedicated to all of the people that passed away in the fire. But in my mind, that's Fern Riley.
It has to. Yeah, I agree.
Holding one of the babies from the nursery. But there were
because of all the tragedies of the whole thing, the nursery is the most tragic of the whole thing.
Yeah,
I feel like it is, and for her at 19, 20 years old to make that decision to go with them, I mean, she definitely
she could have escaped.
She could have escaped and left. Oh, she'd never.
I mean, now I kind of wonder, like. Would it have been better to toss them from the window and hope that they would have survived?
I don't know.
Instead of being burned alive? I don't know. Or could she have carried as many as she could down? I just don't. It's hard to say.
You can't.
And it all happened so quickly.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
Probably just the fact that she would have been, if she couldn't get them all, wasn't getting, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. How would you just start gobbling them up? I don't know.
Yeah. There was...
well, you just don't think of something like that happening.
No. There was a mother that was in labor, and the only way of escape for her was to jump from her hospital room window, which she did jump, and her baby was born a few hours later, and it was stillborn from the jump. So she lost her baby.
She did jump.
Jumped. She also broke her back and several other things. Unfortunately, the baby did die. So Frank Rise, the caretaker that had went into the basement, he unfortunately was killed as well. He didn't escape the basement. His son did survive. His wife was taken to another hospital, badly burned, and she had I think she had also jumped, and she had her brain, she had a skull fracture, and all of the people that jumped ended up with enormous,
more
problems. But I think
I don't know. I'm scared of heights. I don't think I could have done it. I don't think I could jump.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could do it.
So all of the people that were victims or that they were trying to save, they just started pulling people out and taking them to nearby homes and just putting them in the living room. I mean, they had all kinds of hospital patients and burn patients and smoke inhalation patients, I'm sure. Let's see. There was one husband who was watching his wife knock out the screen. He couldn't get up there. He had started driving there whenever he heard about the fire, and right when he got there, he could see that his wife was crawling out on a ladder, and there was nothing that he could do but stand there and watch. And she crawled out onto the roof and then got onto a ladder from there and made it to the ground safely. And then she gave birth at home that night at 1:30 a.m. The mother and child of that situation both survived, and they're one of the very few. They named that boy Charles Lee, but everyone called him Lucky. Mm-hmm. He was known as Lucky throughout his life because of that.
So he was like the only child. He was the only child survived, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. He went.
Ty, what other pictures did I send you? Let's get through some of those so I don't run out of time. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this. He's pointing at the window where her mother jumped and fractured her hip coming out, and you can see that all that's really left are the
bricks.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about another
young
lady. Her last name was Clements. She was 21, and let me find her first name real quick because my mind went blank on her first name.
Escaping you?
Yeah, but she was 21, and she was a young nurse, and she, why am I not seeing her on my list? She was a graduate of St. Elizabeth's School of Nursing in Granite City, and she saw the fire in the basement, tried to extinguish it, realized it had too big of a start, and ran upstairs to help patients leave the hospital. She tried to assist a paralyzed woman, but she was just too heavy. So then she dashed to her own patient, took a firm hold on her, and leaped from a second-story window. She left the patient with rescue workers and went back into the hospital in a frantic effort to assist those patients crying for help. So she had already jumped from the window once.
She jumped out.
Holding on to another woman. Jumped out, went back in to get more.
And went back in. My goodness.
Fighting smoke and fire, Clements managed to save at least 2 or 3 more patients by helping them to the window so she could jump from the blazing building.
Jeez.
With clothes aflame, she raced to a second-story window and jumped for a second time. This time her hip fractured when she landed. Rescue workers rushed to help the nurse who had so valiantly aided the others. Her clothes had been stripped from her body by the intense flames, and she was badly burned. "Don't worry about me," she told rescuers. "Get those inside." Clements was carried to a nearby house, and they tried to assist her there by pouring olive oil onto her, which I think is what exactly you're not supposed to do, but I don't know. This is what she said to them: "Don't bother with me. I can't live. I know. My nerve endings are burned. Help someone else." So basically, she's like, I know I'm a lost cause. I know I'm going to die from this. Go on, help somebody who has a chance at surviving.
Wow.
Can you imagine? She said all this at age 21 years old.
No.
This is the kicker. Clements had resigned from her job at the hospital effective the previous Friday, April the 1st, but she agreed to work one more shift on the night of April 4th as a private duty nurse. She was at work just 20 minutes when the fire broke out. She was 20 minutes into her very last shift. According to patients on the hospital grounds, word of Clements' injuries reached Dr. Webb, and Clements had been Dr. Webb's nurse, so he rushed to the home where she lay badly burned. "I gave her morphine to ease her pain," Webb said. "She was a good nurse, a real professional. She was an outgoing person and the type that would go the second mile. In spite of her burns and fractures, she talked a bit and gave a small smile." Clements did request to be taken to Granite City and that her husband, Hillary, a Fuller brush salesman in Effingham, be notified. So she was originally from Belleville. She died in a Granite City hospital the following evening. she had made it as close to home as possible. So,
oh my gosh.
I don't know why I'm not. Oh, Shirley. Her name was Shirley Clements. So,
Shirley.
shout out to the memory of Shirley Clements, because what a story. What a story.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I don't know. It kind of makes you, I mean, how people, sometimes, I guess if it's your time, it's your time. I don't know. How odd is that?
Yeah, so
That's
let's
very
show that
odd.
next picture, Ty. I don't think yeah, so this is the two that I talked about that delivered at home, and her son did survive, and they named him Lucky. This is them, Arnold Aderman and June.
So she was able to crawl out of and find a ladder.
Yes.
Was it like a fireman's ladder? I mean,
I don't know. Let's see what other pictures I sent in, Ty. Okay, another view of the fire, and you can just see it's just the whole sky is lit up by this fire. Okay, what else did I send? Any more? Okay.
Oh boy.
This one I didn't know whether to send in because it's so sad, but that is an infant there on the stretcher. All 11 babies in the nursery died, and you can see the rubble there. What happened was that each floor collapsed onto the lower floor below that. So when they were sifting through for bodies, they really weren't real sure which floor of bodies they were looking. What layer they had to go through layer by layer as it came down, and a lot of the bodies, they were all taken to a morgue in a building that was next to the makeshift morgue next to the hospital. And those bodies were so badly burned that they were unrecognizable to their families. But their families did have to go through one by one, and each sheet was pulled back to see if you could identify your loved one. I can't even imagine how traumatizing that alone was. But whenever they pulled a body out, they also pulled as many things from around the area and put with that body to help. So some people were recognized by a watch or a gold tooth or a key ring. Frank Rise, I think, was by his key ring.
Well, we need to take another quick commercial break, and we'll be right back and finish up our story.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Peggle's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have Galaxy Bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Peggle Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
Give me all your lumber. Doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, give me all your guns too.
John Lucas.
What?
You better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. We're talking about the Effingham Hospital fire of 1949. Earlier in the episode, I mentioned Anita Seidner, who was seen at the ceremony that they had this past week at Effingham Hospital. She did survive. She what happened with her is she was in labor and had been given medication to sleep and rest before she was in real labor.
She's the only survivor.
She's the only living survivor now.
Okay.
She's in her 90s. And her husband showed up to look for her, and he walked all over. No one had seen her. He was one that went through the morgue looking for her, couldn't find her, asked everyone, have you seen her? Finally, one driver, ambulance driver that had been transporting people around said, I might have seen her. And he did end up finding her at a different location. She was still dazed by the drugs that were given to her earlier. And she had went into labor right after she jumped from the window, and she is the one whose baby was born stillborn from the jump. Doctors believe the trauma caused the infant to die from shock. Seidner rushed to his wife's side, but little could be done. A few hours later, the nurses told Seidner he could take his wife home. But at that time, the Dr. Webb arrived, and he checked her out, and he said no, she wasn't going home. Not only had she lost her baby, but she had broken her back and her wrist and crushed her ankle. But she was still in shock and did not feel any pain. She didn't know she had even hurt herself. She was in such shock. So that's the story of Anita and her family. There were several nuns, several priests that passed away in the fire. I have a picture of Frank Rise when he was a young man. I pulled this from Find a Grave. But, you know, he was in his 50s when he passed away at the hospital. But
and he's the caretaker, correct?
He was the caretaker that rushed into the basement to try to put it out. And it was his son that tried to follow him but couldn't find him. And luckily he didn't, because he would have died as well. And their mother ended up living. Most of the records in the hospital were also lost in the fire. There was only a few that were saved that had been in a safe.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't think about that.
This whole thing made national news. People started raising money for a new hospital right away, and money was came pouring in. And let's see, what else? Basically, Effingham became the news center of the world. So newsmen from all over came, covered the story. Bodies were still being removed. There's more pictures of that. I'm not sharing them all because they're, in my mind, kind of graphic, and it's just so tragic. The cleanup was extensive. And the thing about this fire is that it changed, it set a precedence, and it changed the way that hospitals are built. It changed the fire code system for hospitals. It changed so many things, not just in Effingham, but worldwide. Like, this could easily happen here and here and here. And they started sending inspectors out, and they're like, you know, this could happen here. This could happen here. We've got to change things. And it brought about change.
Awareness.
It brought about sprinkler systems. It brought about, it brought about how the chutes and the drafts through the building and air travel and feed these
when was
fires.
That? Do we even know when that hospital was built in the beginning?
It was like 1898 or 1897 or something.
Okay,
it was the late 1800s, I think.
Okay.
There was a lot of heroes in the story, I think. This Fern Riley, I think she was only 19, but she loved to play softball, and she wanted to be a registered nurse. At the time, she wasn't a registered nurse at the time, but she just felt like she was devoted to those babies, and that nursery job was her calling. So
yeah, she was definitely devoted to the children.
Yes, she was. So,
wow.
Let me see if I know there's just, it's hard for me to cover all of it because there's so much. Letters started pouring in from all over the country, people writing to the survivors and, you know, wishing them well, sending them money.
How many total passed? 70 something? And that includes workers, people in the hospital and everything.
Yeah.
So how many actually survived? Do you have that number?
No, not in front of me.
We don't know for sure.
No.
Because it makes you wonder what the capacity would be of that building. But, well, if you got the entire nursing, most of it was babies and nursing home people.
And the thing is, a lot of the mothers that did jump out of the windows, they didn't tell them right away that their babies had died. They found out later.
Right.
And I can't even imagine that pain.
Oh, I don't know either. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I wish there was a page in this book that like actually broke it down into numbers of how many survived and how many.
I'm surprised
died.
there wasn't one. You know.
I know. Yeah. I think
a survivor's page and a deceased
Yeah, I mean
page.
there is a page at the beginning where it's not numbered or anything, but it lists names of people that passed away. Majority of whom were women and children.
Right.
I will say that there's maybe 4 or 5 men on here, maybe, and I would say they were probably on the 3rd floor.
Right.
But yeah, I'm only seeing like 3 or 4 men on there total. The rest were women and children.
Yeah.
So sad.
And so then you said money started coming in, and then they immediately built the building that's there now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know who laid the brick and the block on that building that's there now?
I would be willing to bet it was your family.
It was my grandfather, my uncles, my dad.
Oh, yeah.
They're the ones that laid the brick on the new hospital in Effingham.
I did have another article pulled up. Let me see if that one says how many survivors there were.
Yeah, what a tragic. Yeah, I don't know. As a mother in there, I don't know what you do. It just you don't. Who knows what you do in an instance like that? You have no clue what your thought process is or what's going on. Quick decisions.
Yep. This one also doesn't reference how many survived. No.
Yeah, I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, there were survivors. Not everyone died, but they did have to jump to their safety. Other than a few first floor people that were just taken out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sad story, but
a very sad story.
But and you said though just recently, was it like on the 4th that they did this dedication?
I think it might have been on the 4th, or it might have been. I kind of feel like it was last week, but maybe it was.
Well, you're going to be able to go do that Friday. Go look and see.
Yeah. Well, I actually asked my daughter yesterday. She was in Effingham, and I said, stop by the hospital and get a picture of that statue and the words on it. I want to use it on my show tomorrow. I don't have a picture of it because it's brand new. And she was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Do you think she did it?
Never did do it. If she did it, she never emailed it to me. So I don't have those pictures.
What are we going to do with her?
I know. She doesn't listen to her mom.
Well, you can go up because you know what Friday is, right?
I know. I'm taking Stacey and her sisters to an appointment on Friday. So
Beth is the lucky one that gets to take all 3 of us
on a drive
to Effingham for little procedures.
Yes.
It's not facelift. You will recognize me when I
Yes. You're not going to tell them. It's private.
No, I don't care. Colonoscopy time.
Colonoscopy time for her family, so they need to drive her.
Yeah. So
and I'm the girl.
Cutting Up will be closed Thursday afternoon for cleansing, and Friday and Saturday I won't be there. I'm only working 1 day this week and half a day on Thursday. But yeah, so me and my sisters. 3 years ago, Lynn and I went and had it done, and now we all 3 need them. So we go see Dr. Flagg in Effingham Friday, colonoscopies. He's so lucky.
I get the fun part.
Beth has to take us. Last time Diane took me and Linda, and so this time Diane's going. So like, who's your driver? So when I was confirming this morning, they're like, Beth Cooper. She's like, who's your sister's driver? Beth Cooper. She's like, oh, you're all coming. I'm like, yeah, we're all coming at the same time. So. Yeah, at least we don't have to be there I was worried they're going to have us be there like at 7 o'clock. We got to be there like at 9:15, 9:30.
Oh, good.
So it's not like, so I was like, literally, the worst part of the colonoscopy was getting up and being there. Because you know I hate mornings.
Well, the worst part of the colonoscopy is the cleansing.
It's Thursday.
Yeah. Whew. Not fun.
I got to go get all that stuff too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's what do I want to say? Is it a necessary evil?
Oh, yeah. You want to be on the safe side. Stacey has a history of that in her family, so we better get it checked.
We better get it. We better.
All right. We're going to end the show with a quote.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is an interesting. Here's one by Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
If you look at what you have in life, you'll always have more. If you look at what you don't have in life, you'll never have enough.
From like one of the richest women in the world. I don't even listen to that quote. As soon as you said who it was by, I was like, I don't even care.
Maybe I should have scratched out Oprah's name. If you look at what you have in life, you'll always have more. If you look at what you don't have in life, you'll never have enough. Seems like a lot of these quotes that we talk about are, ooh.
You got a good one?
Here's one.
Hopefully it's not by Oprah.
It's not. Elizabeth Kenny. It is better to be a lion for a day than a sheep all your life.
Ooh, that's good.
Oh, man.
I like that one.
I'm going to circle that one. That's a heart.
Be a lion for a day rather than a sheep all your life.
Wow.
I like
that
it.
hits home today, don't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, some of these quotes you just never know.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people that live by quotes. I never did, I don't really.
Oh, quotes. I mean, they're uplifting and they work in good situations, and I do memorize some of them, but
I don't ever.
Others, I'm like, you can't just live every day to the same quote.
No, because every day changes.
Mm-hmm. But you have like 100 of them in your arsenal, then you might have something.
That's my new one. I'm going to put that one down.
Better to be a lion for a day than a sheep all your life.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes, and it's from the Big Dog Store. You remember the Big Dog Store? No. If you're not the lead dog, the scenery never changes.
Oh. Yeah.
That would be the quote that I would remember.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of
true, though. I like it.
It is true. Beth, tell people where they can catch us.
Okay, so we are on Wabash Catch TV channel 100 daily at 11 a.m. Our new episodes air on Thursdays and Fridays. We're also on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is called By the Way with Beth and Stacey. You just type that into your YouTube homepage, and we should pop right up. You can find our channel, and all of our episodes are there. So you can watch us on YouTube. You can also find us on Facebook. Like and follow us there. It's By the Way with Beth and Stacey. And if you have any show comments, questions, concerns, anything that you want to talk about, you can email us at bythewaywithbethandstacey@gmail.com.
You could always email us or call us. I actually had a lady that called me at the shop the other day. Maybe we were talking about the Smith war hero from the Louisville area, and then went and played Major. And she's like, he was her great uncle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Good.
We love it when you reach out to us. Reach out to us. We like
to hear from you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the good, bad, or the ugly.
Yeah. We get it,
we'll
we're
take
okay
it
with
all.
any of it, sure. Because we know we're not perfect and we sometimes make mistakes. But you get up here and I know. But sometimes we just get to chatting and we say the wrong name or the wrong word or whatever.
Wrong year.
We know what we mean.
We know what we mean. You should know what we mean. But, that's it for today.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
God bless you and have a great day.